All right, my friends, welcome back to another episode of Your Life, Your Story, Rise Up. Today, I am bringing you one of my newfound friends and someone who is just full of life, full of energy, has a passion for helping women, coach women to move from surviving to thriving in their business through strategic wealth building. Colleen is a performance consultant with over 22 years of experience. She has launched 340 businesses, is an international speaker, and has authored 5 #1 international best-selling books. She's the founder and CEO of Leap, the Leap community, as well as the Infinite Impact Mastermind. Let's just say if you have landed today here on this podcast, it's your lucky day. Like, you are going to learn so much. You're going to be inspired. You're going to be motivated by this woman. And you're honestly, I think the goal here is that you're going to hopefully walk away from this episode realizing how much potential like you already have within you. Like, you are going to be unstoppable. So Colleen, I am so excited that I met you. I'm so excited to have you here. Like, welcome.
Oh, thanks, Jill. This is fantastic. Like, I, as you were saying, some of the last things right there about, realizing how much they already have. I'm like, that's what Jill does. That's what she's amazing when you're around her, because you just feel good, when you're in the presence of certain people. And that's how I felt around you, and like super connected with you when I first met you just a couple of weeks ago in Indiana. So.
Yeah. Well,
fun.
I love that you felt the same way, because that's the #1 thing most people, when they first meet me, is they're like, I love your energy. Like, countless of testimonials, your energy. And I felt the same with you, Colleen. I was like, oh my gosh, this girl has as much energy as me. Like, got to know more about you. And just your power of connecting women is awesome. So let's start. Let's just, with all of that, right? You have so many incredible accomplishments. Like, let's just dive into your story and tell the listeners a little bit more about you and how you got started into this Leap community and all these accomplishments.
Well, I'm glad that you asked that. Thanks, Jill, for even having me here to be on your podcast. And, when you talked about energy, I think that's one of the most important pieces that your listeners need to remember is the energy that we exude is what attracts people to us. So if we're having a really crappy day and we're rushed or we're hurried, or we act like, it's about us, or we don't really want to deal with people, other people feel that. And so when we talk about the art of attracting people to you, that's kind of my whole thing, which is expanding your influence to attract the right clients. We have to be showing up every day of how we want to serve and how we want other people to see us, right? In service, in our leadership role. I think that's extremely important. So when I was in corporate America, about 5-6 years ago, I dropped out. I retired, I guess. I don't know what you call it. I'm a corporate dropout. I'll say that.
I love it. I love it.
And I walked away from corporate America because, just like you, I knew there was more for me. I started seeing it from the outside in. I really started feeling trapped in this box. I had been working my life in this career to just climb this ladder. And honestly, I got tired of climbing. Once I made it to the top, it was like, what do I do now? Aspirations and things I thought I wanted to do at the company wasn't happening. And I just thought, what do I do? Right. But going back to 2016, I realized that when I was on the road all the time and traveling and seeing my clients, because even back then, that many years ago, in 2002, I started coaching people when coaches weren't a coach. There were soccer coaches, t-ball coaches, football coaches. But I was a business coach. So I did a lot of strategic consulting. I did a lot of education. I did a lot of teaching. I did a lot of guiding through the process of taking brand new business owners from not owning a business to building a business for the very first time, some of them. And then I got really good at that and moved on to building multiple businesses with the same owners, because I really enjoyed helping them. It's a different skill set to open 2 or 3 or 4 locations of a business than it is just to operate one, because you really need to move into a stronger leadership role and trust and delegate. and you need to nurture and bring other people with you, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
you can have them
Yes.
manage those locations for you. So different skill sets there. So as you can tell, I landed in 2002 in this world of business ownership and just fell in love with it and
Mm-hmm.
loved working with individual owners and helping them use their expertise, their knowledge, their experience, their past, everything that they had, their golden, juice, I always call it like the secret sauce.
Secret sauce.
Um,
Yes.
kind of like, when I show up with my energy in a room, that's like my secret sauce. It's who I
Mm-hmm.
am, right? My ability to be able to just be in a moment. That's what I love to do. And I love also, I'm very empathetic and aware of what's happening around me and how other people are feeling, and I'm
Mm.
very in tune with that. That's a really good sign of someone that could be a manager, right, over people. So recognizing strengths and really utilizing those strengths, and bringing those to the surface for these business owners. And that's what I do a lot with women today, is bring that to the surface for them to be
Mhm.
able to use that as their secret weapon in their business. It's not that you have to go out and duplicate and replicate and be somebody else. You've got to
Right.
be you, right? Your strongest self. So, what is it about you that's so unique? What is it about you that is your brand that other people fall in love with? What
Mhm.
is it about you? Sometimes it's hard to put your finger on it, right?
Yeah.
So I know that all of these owners that I worked with that were building businesses, they needed guidance. They just needed to be guided on what are the next steps that I take? How do I do this? We have what I call business blind spots. So I love to work with women in business blind spots because just like you, Jill, and me, whenever I'm sitting in a mastermind or sitting with my coach or anyone like that, they'll tell me something I didn't see,
Mhm.
called a business blind spot. We all have
Right.
them. So, don't we want someone to call us out on our business blind spots? Because that's what's keeping us stuck,
It
holding
is.
us back,
Yes.
keeping us where we don't realize that we're like self sabotaging ourselves in certain areas. And by the way, everybody at every level does it. Every actress does it. Every actor does it. You think, oh, no, they make billions of dollars. They're acting. They don't make mistakes. Oh, they do too. And there's a
Right.
lot of roles they don't get because they self sabotage themselves.
Mm.
Right. So it's all of us at every level. That's why having a guide, someone that's there that can assist you, educate you,
Yeah.
give you some knowledge, work you through some exercises. You can uncover some of those
Mhm.
blind spots, right?
Yes.
So
So
then
good.
the number one thing really in business for me is exposure. You have to tell everybody about you. I was in the business of building brick and mortar stores. So imagine a brick and mortar store that's sitting there in a parking lot with no sign on it. How many people are going to
Right.
just drive into the parking lot, pull up, knock on the door, and be like, yo, what do y'all
What
do
is
here?
this? Yeah.
It's not going to happen. So I see so many women, business owners
Mhm.
especially out there, they're not telling everyone about them. They're behind the scenes saying, I got to build the perfect lead gen. I got to build the perfect sales funnel. I got to build the perfect website. We talked about this when I was with you. We were all
Yeah.
laughing about it because women are like, they like get their gun all fired up and their business all fired up, ready to go. And they aim forever. They're just aiming. They're
Mhm.
never actually pulling the trigger and firing. And I say you've got to fire before you're aiming. You can build six-figure businesses without a website. I've built six-figure programs. My mastermind, the very first one I ever launched and built, was a six-figure program. I had zero website for it. I didn't have like a place they could click and read about it. I sent them videos. I had one-on-one
Mhm.
conversations like this with them. There is a lot that we can do to start generating income. That should be your number one thing to do. And the only way you're going to generate income is if someone else wants what you have.
Mhm.
They have to have a problem. You
Yeah.
have to be able to
Figure
solve
out the
their
problem.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's where it lands, right? So
Right.
that's why I created the Leap community. I know there's a lot of women out there, Jill, like you and I, that are
Mhm.
building businesses, and we feel like we're out on this kind of island by ourselves. We don't have all of these other women that are like, oh my gosh, I know someone on a podcast. You need podcasts? Let me help you. I know someone that can, that is doing this course. You should try this out. Or I know
Yeah.
someone that can build that logo for you. I have a connection for you. That's what I call social capital. And you've heard me talk about it. We have to build our social capital of the people in the buckets of who we know and who know us. And that's how we start getting referrals. That's how we get opportunities. That's how doors are open. So now I just decided, what about creating this affordable community that every entrepreneur can afford, where it's all about you. You're seen, you're heard, you're visible. You do podcast interviews, LinkedIn live interviews. We're promoting you in our newsletter. You send us blogs and we promote them on social media and on our website. And you get to do masterminds, and you get to do Thrive Thursday masterclasses, and you get to network. Like, it's like networking group on steroids. But it becomes all about the female business owner, for them to get more visibility for themselves at the same time they're networking, because we need a tribe. So
we
where's
so
that
need the tribe. The community is like where it's at, right? Like,
that's why I love the VIP Business Center, because that was my first time ever visiting. When I flew from Arizona to Indiana, I joined as a member, and I know I can't be in person for a lot of things, but I can certainly go to their annual conferences. I can certainly Zoom in. I can certainly continue fostering and building those relationships with women that are across the country from me. And why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah. And I love that too, because I think there were so many of us there at the VIP center. You know, there was a lot of us that was, local, right? And I think you were like, why? Yes, I flew here from Arizona. Why would I not? Like, I don't know you, you don't know me. Like, it's all about building your brand and getting to know people. One of your talks was that your network is your net worth. And I loved it because you're right? The community, the connections, that's the one thing that I saw when you talked about energy in your personal brand. It was the energy that came off. The other thing, Colleen, that I noticed about you right away, as I said, which is something that I value, is you're a connector. I could see right then, you're not, when you're coming to these networking events, you're not coming there just soaking in the information, sitting in a silo. You came to meet people and get to know people, and not just meet people for your own self-investment, right?
Right.
Like, you genuinely want to get to know people. What do you do? Tell me, so that you can then, so talk a little bit about that, your network is your net worth. Like, people need to hear this.
Yeah, I legit brought 10 books with me as kind of a sign, like, you are going to connect real close with 10 people before you leave. And then when you connect close with that person, I want you to, fill out the book and give it to them. So that was kind of and I left with 0 books, right? And I did that on purpose, because that was like how you would give a business card or whatever it is. And I just wanted to connect real tight and plan dinners. And that's one of the pieces of building your network. So your net worth, they'll say it's assets minus liabilities, but it's really, I guess it is, but it's so different. Your social capital is who you know and who knows you, and who knows you are all about referrals.
Yeah.
Right. So if you say, Colleen, I'm on a mission for podcasts, every time I come across someone with a podcast, or I'm on a podcast, I'm going to say, hey, I have a great referral for someone I think would be a great guest for you. I could get you 20, 30 of those in a year, just because you met me and now I'm someone you're not doing any work in that bucket. I'm just referring them to you because you told me that's what you needed. That's no extra work for me. We have to become valuable to people before we start adding value. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Become valuable. Become valuable to people. And I like that piece, because we serve other people and we do things, but most of the time you're in networking just to kind of meet people, and then you walk away from it and you're not nurturing those. Like, I'm still texting people from a couple weeks ago. Victoria and I are still talking. You and I are still connected. We're going back and forth on LinkedIn. We are able to build closer and deeper relationships with individuals, because those are what build your net worth. Because I can tell you story upon story of women that have attended one of my events, or I attended one of their events, and then I introduced them to someone who needed a speaking coach. And then that person came and signed up for my mastermind. Then this person went over and signed up for this community. Like, all the money that is exchanged within all of that is the money that builds your net worth. But most importantly, you build your social capital within that. And those are all the people you know. There's not been one person that's ever stood to get a Grammy or an award and hasn't said, thank you to this person. If it wasn't for you, I never would have been in the room.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's like one of my biggest pet peeves. I hear those people that say I'm a self-made millionaire. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's like, it cringes every time I see that, because I'm like, oh my gosh, will not buy that book, because no, you're not. Because God first was in all that.
Right.
And you had this person and this connection and this person that got you that job, and all those corporations that you've been to was all part of your experience that led you to your experiences that it got you to where you are today. And so it drives me nuts.
It is.
Okay, let's talk about, you mentioned your book, so let's talk about that, because I was one of the awesome persons that was able to read this book. Love it. It is Step Into, there you go, you have it. If you're watching on YouTube, Step Into the Spotlight to Expand Your Influence. Love this. Love all the authors that was in there. And I sent you a message the other day because I love to talk about fear. So in your book, you redefined fear as face everything and rise. And I was like, oh, yes, that's so good. So there might be people listening today, Colleen, that is on board with everything that you're saying. And me and you are very extroverted. I would say people, we're outgoing. So we can step into a networking event and we can have our energy lead the room. We can meet people. But talk a little bit about, I want you to talk a little bit about that book, and then talk about fear, and just, I know you have a podcast as well, Take the Leap, which also I love, because that's exactly what I did. It was like, I knew I was meant for more and I was tired of waiting, and I took the leap, and I have not looked back ever since. Yeah. So I just put a bunch of on there, your podcast, your book, fear, but dive in and let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, fear isn't real. It really isn't. Fear is something we create because we're assuming something is going to go bad in the future. That's really what it is. It's where anxiety comes from. You're focused on the future, not on the present. And when you're depressed, you're focused on the past and not on the present. So I guarantee any person out there, if you take the leap, the net will appear. I knew someone once that took individual clients and put them on trapeze once, and they did that to have them face the fear of that they're going to be okay if they were to take the leap, and get up there and hang above, and there was a net below them, and it was just kind of this visual for them. I will tell you, fear is absolutely fake. It's not a real thing, and you can live your life. I'm just going to share this. You can live your life saying, I'm afraid to do this. What if that, what if this, what if that? I always say to my clients, write everything on the left side that could go right, everything on the right side that could go wrong. And if death isn't on the list, you can recover from everything else, including money, including money.
That's what holds so many people back.
It's the biggest factor. But that means you don't believe in yourself.
Yeah.
If you say, well, if I leave corporate America and I leave a cushy 6-figure job, how am I going to make that money? You don't believe it's possible for you to make that money. You just need to start aligning the people in your path that can help you get there. And I promise you can do it. Yeah. And I like it when your back is up against the wall and you don't have a nest egg sitting there, because now you have more. You're hungry, right? You really want to do it. Yeah. And that's where I was. So again, the book is all about all the different ways from the different authors that you can get visibility for yourself. You've got to get on stages. You've got, like I did in Indiana. You've got to get on podcasts like I am right now with Jill. You've got to get out there and tell everybody about you on social media. I heard so many women, oh my gosh, every time they're like, I hate social media. I'm like, embrace it. Get out there and do a video. Just do a video every day. Share your life. People really just want to know what's in your refrigerator, what's in your purse, they do. And they'll start following you. Like, reality TV's a thing.
It is.
People want to know, like, and trust you, and they will not do business with you unless they know you. So let people into your world to get to know you. If you don't want to do that, it's going to be a slower rise for you. Just know that's going to happen. You've got to get yourself out there. So fear isn't real. It's crap. So just take the leap and do it anyway. I promise you the net will appear no matter what it looks like. Leaving a bad relationship, leaving corporate America, leaving a job and going to another job that maybe you're a little bit scared to take because it's a couple steps up from where you are today. I promise you you'll be able to show up and do it. You've just got to work on believing in yourself.
Yes.
And set yourself up by reading good books and, listening to great podcasts and creating that mindset for yourself. We don't jump out of bed like that, Joe,
No.
right? We don't.
No, we don't.
We work on it.
It's
we
a daily.
Pray.
Yes.
Yes, we pray, we read, we surround ourselves with people that are positive and not negative. And these are the things that you need to do on a regular basis if you want to succeed. I can't not do that and be successful.
Yeah.
You have to.
You have to.
You just have to.
Yeah. And I love your tagline. It's be you, be strong. And I love it. My tagline is be you, right? Same. Be you, love life, and rise up, right?
Yeah.
Because for so long I wasn't doing any of that, right? I wasn't rising up every day. I wasn't being grateful for the days. I was not being my authentic self. I was just going through the motions of life. And I'm like, we have one life here to live. So why don't you live it well? And I think going back to what you were saying too, is these people that have this fear is step inside and look at yourself and truly don't go out and try to look at what everybody else is doing. It's just search within. When you said you were a corporate dropout by choice, some of the things that you said was that you looked within of what are the things that you already have. Energy is one, right? Being able to, I'll have to go back. There were so many things that you said, but
I got a whole bunch of knowledge of business,
things
right?
that you had already learned that you can now help somebody else forward. And I think too many times people try to look at everybody else and then find how they can copy it or do something similar, and it will never work because it's not you. But you are created with a gift and a strength and a talent that only God has given you, and embrace that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And being your most authentic self is not about F you to the world. I just want to share that real quick with everybody because a lot of people think it's an egotistical thing, and it's not. It's about understanding your boundaries. It's about saying, I matter, I'm worthy, I'm worth it. This value for my program is worth the price that I'm charging. And I know the things that I want to do and the things I don't want to do. And no is a complete answer. So it's taking responsibility for your life, what you want, for your success, and for those people around you. It is not about being this kind of abrasive, F you kind of, I'm going to go against the grain on all the rules. It's not that. It's not what that is. It's being sure of yourself and knowing who you are. And that's a very confident, sexy thing. It's really the sexiest thing you can wear, for is confidence. So knowing who you are, go through the process of that, work with someone, go through the process of understanding your values. I do that with my clients, right? What are your values? What matters to you? Because one success to Melinda might look like a different success to Julie, right? And I'm telling you, they're different. So you have to foster, those clients around you differently. It's not kind of a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Sure. So good. Love all of that. Well, let's wrap this up. If you could give me one thing, knowing what you know now, right? And looking back on all the things that you have learned, what would you say? What would you leave on this podcast today as your number one advice you would give to someone who is listening right now and they know they are meant for more, but they're just unclear where to even begin and to explore it? What is your number one advice that you would give them?
Well, my number one quote that I always leave with everyone is, if learning is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you. You're never at a point where you already know it, ever.
Very good.
You need to constantly be learning and growing every single day. So growth is never ending. And the other thing is, don't go by yourself. Don't do anything by yourself. Never run a business by yourself. Hire a coach, hire a consultant, hire a VA, whatever it is that you need. You've got to have somebody on your team working with you and helping you. That is a number one must.
Yeah. Utilize your resources for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So great. So much good information. I told you if you were listening to stick around, this would be awesome, right? If you were driving, you need to re-listen, go back, take notes. And then most importantly, follow Colleen. So Colleen, where can the listeners find more about you?
Yeah.
And follow you?
I would love, if they're on LinkedIn, I would love for them to go on LinkedIn. I would love for them to DM me. You can find me at Colleen Biggs on LinkedIn. Every picture of me on social media is me kicking because I'm a first degree black belt. So I have a bad attitude when it comes to that. It's my fun self coming out. But I would love for you to connect with me on Facebook as well, but DM me and say, hey, I heard you on Jill's podcast and I want to connect with you and build my social capital and your social capital. The only way we can do that is by actually connecting. If you want to follow me on Instagram, awesome. You'll see all my family, me, my business, my kids, all of that fun stuff. But I would love for you to DM me straight up and let me know that you found me on Jill's podcast.
Awesome. I will put your links on there in the bottom.
And ColleenBiggs.net. Like you can't miss me on Google if you look up Colleen Biggs. Yeah. So I'm out there.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Well, Colleen, thank you so much. Always good connecting with you. And take care and rise up.
Thanks.